at all. There's not that I love more than sourcing the truth, and that's what I do before releasing videos. Because people are being fooled enough out there as it is. There's no point in me doing the same as others. If others were to jump off a bridge, am I going to jump off after them? Definitely not, guys. Right, the truth on what counties pay the most and least taxes. Leo put his foot into it the other day. He was challenged over it, and I think yesterday or the day before he reneged on what he said. What he actually said to his fellow cronies was that he jumped the line, that he had blattered out what he said off the top of his mouth without even thinking about it. Unfortunately, that's what us occupants of Ireland have to deal with from the oppressors that's attempting to govern the country. Yeah, as I said before and will again, ongoing, 900 years of ongoing oppression, guys. That's what we're going through, basically. Not nice, but sure, oppressors will only take care of themselves. You can already see that with the cost of living, the cost of fuel, the cost of heat and oil, and everything else. Guys, they don't care how bad you are struggling daily, and many people are. Okay, guys, here's what I sourced. 3 counties pay almost 80% of all taxes in the state, providing there is clear urban versus rural divide. Dublin, Cork and Galway, about 78%, and when Waterford and Limerick are added in, the tax take from counties with cities rise to 80.4% of the total of the 26 counties. Even when corporation tax is stripped out, these counties pay the lion's share of the 26 counties tax, although they account for just over half the total population. An analysis of revenue figures from 2024 by a chief economist with Davy has found that Longford paid the least amount of tax at €194 billion. This was then followed by Roscommon on 274 million and Laois on 303 million. The analysis comes at the end of a week where controversial comments made by former Taoiseach Leo Varadkar have dominated discussion. Varadkar later admitted he went too far in his comments and overstated his case in saying that rural Ireland is subsidised by urban areas. They couldn't do a lot of bother over him. He originally claimed that urban dwellers could state we're the ones paying all the bills, while people in rural areas are in receipt of a lot of subsidies and tax benefits that others don't get. The revenue figures confirm that the most amount of tax, as would be expected, came from Dublin with €44 billion. It was then followed by Cork on 26.5 billion, a figure that was inflated by the back payments of corporation tax that year by Apple, which has its headquarters in Holyhill. in Hollyhill. When corporation tax is stripped out, however, the league table stays the same, with Dublin, Cork and Galway in the top 3 positions. However, their proportion then falls to 67%. The chief economist, Whit Davies, said cities would be where the most high-skilled and well-paid jobs were located, which is why they are the major drivers of tax revenues. The way most advanced economies have developed is definitely through agglomeration in cities, and it's no big surprise. That is the way it has worked out here, he said. Now, the reason I'm reading this, guys, many of you know that I'm reading, is there's too much information here to rhyme it off the top of your head. So I do write it down on paper, and then I deliver it to you. The most advanced economies have developed is definitely through agglomeration in cities, and it's no big surprise that is the way it has worked. The Davy economist said Mr. Barranger's essential point was accurate, that the more rural parts of Ireland will rely on the nearest city to subsidise them. In County Leitrim, for example, the price of things will be a little bit lower than elsewhere, but not dramatically lower. But the job opportunities are not going to be the same as elsewhere. So to balance that out, there is going to be a higher degree of reliance on the state. The business economy in Leitrim is not necessarily going to be able to pay for all the teachers that teach children in Leitrim, or all of the Gardaí and nurses. So you would expect a subsidy to Leitrim in that some of the wages and public sector costs are being paid by Galway, as both are in the province of Connacht, for example, which is a nearby high tax generating place, so that's a within Connacht rebalancing. In the analysis of revenue figures, an unexpected finding is that Westmeath pays more tax than Limerick, Meath and Wicklow, all of which have significantly bigger populations. The Midlands County paid 1.828 billion in taxes, with a population of less than 100,000 according to the last census. And by the way, folks, there is a census on the way next year. The tax take for County Limerick, which has a population of more than 200,000, was €1.81 billion, while Meath, which also has more than 200,000 people, chipped in at 1.6 billion. Professor Alan Matthews of the Trinity College Dublin said the net transfer of resources from urban to rural area was a product of the welfare state and not down to deliberate government policy. But folks, all them boys are all the one, so one is going to definitely protect the other, as they do, regardless whether there's a standards in public office system or not, because the same standards, there's no standards when you're in public office. So what are they doing with a body over them? It's another waste of the occupants of Ireland taxes. It's just the fact that incomes are higher in urban areas and more income and corporation taxes paid there. Rural areas differ in that they have an older population and are more reliant on social welfare. Just it's an awful insult to the working people in rural Ireland. So through the tax and welfare system, you have significant transfers from urban to rural residents. The professor also said, within farming, the dry stock sector is heavily dependent and subsidies which come mostly from the EU budget, to which Ireland is now a net contributor. It's questionable, guys, at this stage, especially since 2020, whether it was a good thing to join in Ireland or not. Some will say it was. It's a no-win discussion anyway, because someone will think that it's a great thing being involved. Others will think the opposite, which is only personal opinions. But guys, we see down after 5-6 years who's actually attempting to govern Ireland. The United Nations, the EU, the WHO, the World Health Organization, and the World Economic Forum. And your political figures are only their spokespeople. The professor pointed out that with farming, the dry stock sector is heavily dependent on subsidies which come mostly from the EU budget, to which Ireland is now a net contributor. It goes up and down, but about 50% of what farmers earn is a transfer from the non-farm section, adding that the food sector stood on its own 2 feet. Okay guys, that clarifies what was said during the week, and you can take it how you we will all have opinions on it, excuse me, but the next video is in relation to the amount of millions that was wasted on what you received in your arms back in 2020, 2021, and many more remain receiving them back in 2026, 6 years later. And then the IT industry has been badly affected due to AI, which was expected. Meta will be laying off staff. Most platforms will be laying off staff, guys, in Ireland, along with the rest of Europe, or wherever these platforms, the social media platforms, have their headquarters, wherever they operate out of. Staff is to be cut, seriously cut, and I mean seriously cut, but that will be it. I will do that. I will deliver that in another video, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the money that was wasted on what you received in your arms back in 2020. The remains being received by many occupants of Ireland in 2026. Okay guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend.